Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with a Taiwanese oolong that we're going to be looking at today. Going to get this started. Got a 3-ounce gaiwan, got tea, got water, got a vessel to prepare it in, and I'm doing enough here that I should have enough to cover the bottom, say, inch to inch and a half diameter of my 3-ounce gaiwan. My water's been brought to a boil. It's been cooling for under a minute, so it's got plenty of heat to it. The trick with just about any tea is the right combination of heat, water, and volume of water, temperature of water, and volume of leaf. I should mention those points. But when you get instructions from a tea company, they're often going to give you what they think is the optimal temperature of water, of volumes of water, and tea leaves. But that may not fit what you really want, what you're really looking for. So you may want to modify that. And when you modify that, that's where the trick comes in, because those ratios are for what they want you to taste, as far as what they think it should taste like, what it covers up the weaknesses of their tea. But when you put it close to boiling water, standard volume or level volume of leaf, and water amounts and water temperature, and you put tea side by side in that scenario, then you can kind of compare teas, and that's what's happening here. I'm going to compare this tea over kind of my collective memory of tasting teas that are similar, but talking about this particular tea. This is from Asha Tea House. That's ASHA, Asha, teahouse.com. You could look there if you'd like. This is their ShanLinXi Charcoal Roast Winter 2001, so it was harvested back in the winter of last year. 50 grams available for $24. 50 grams is about 1 3/4, 1.75, 76 ounces there. This is a Qingxin varietal, which is a common varietal used especially in Taiwan with Taiwanese oolongs. Information on the Asha Tea House website indicates, or even goes further to tell who was the craftsman who made this tea. It was Jackie Zhong at Little Half Sky Tea. So you can find out more information. Asha Tea House is a more boutique tea source provider, focusing mainly on Taiwanese teas. So, I'm going to talk about this tea. I've tasted a tea from Asha in the past, very pleasant. Actually, another Taiwanese tea retailer saw the review, said, yes, I was over at Asha. So even though this other tea taster got no boost from his sales by talking about how good Asha's tea is, he was still happy to do that and share the news that Asha, that particular tea, he enjoyed as well. Talking about dry leaf here. Nice, because this is a charcoal roast, but I'm getting light roasted type notes here. I mean, I do get, and these are still sweet as well. Something that comes off as like, what am I looking for here? English laurel, mountain laurel. Think of the sweet blossoms on a shrub type plant. There's a bit of woodiness that comes out there. There's a bit of gentle, subtle, soft sweetness there, and not very pronounced, not just overpowering aromas. You could pull this off and say that there's a gentle, very gentle type of orchid note in there. And orchids usually put me off, but this is a nice, delicate, gentle, light, sweet orchid. Okay, so I should take out a few of these leaves and just kind of look at them as well. Now, like I said, charcoal roast, but these do not take on a heavy, dark coloration of a charcoal roast. It's not as green as that kind of blue-green, bright yellow-green. light type of green colors that come with the lightly oxidized with very low fire type of oolongs. This one does have a bit, it's a bit duller, darker. It's moving more towards a bit of a greenish, brownish green, a light bit of brown in the green there. A little bit of kind of a pale type color there, getting a little pale, so it could move over ever so softly into a light kind of grayish type color. The shape, the size of these are fairly compact, fairly small as far as bald rolled leaves can go, and so I would suspect that many of these are not leaf pairs. They're individual leaves rolled together. I also I see some stem kind of sticking out here and there. I mean, if it was, you would need to have a little bit of stem if you were rolling more than one leaf together. Because I'm seeing less stem, that's another indication that this may be individual leaves, rolled or balled, that we have here. So I'm going to set that aside and get ready to pour this tea, and then be able to talk a little bit about the wet leaf and the liquor. So I'm going to angle my lid over to the side, just like so. Put my index finger to hold the lid, hold the rim of the bowl there, and pour, turning the face towards me, rotating it towards me, shaking out any of those last few drops. All right, now set this off to the side. Talk a little bit about the wet leaf here. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give that a shake and wake that up. First thing that hit me, roasted elements, roasted notes starting to come out. This is getting a bit more charred type of element there. It's beginning beyond like a toasted oat, toasted Cheerio type note. It's getting a little bit more intense. A little bit more, sticking your nose down directly into the bowl gets a little bit more of a almost old cigarette ash, and that's just a hint. There's a light bit of that. It's not off-putting yet. Smelling the lid, which is different, you often get the sweeter, gentler elements of the tea when you smell the inside of the lid. And there, yes, it is sweeter. It gets more fragrance built up in there. It's not as peachy type sweet. This is more of a roasted strawberry. If you've got some strawberries and roast them, there's a sweetness there. Not necessarily a strawberry tart type of taste, but imagine the kind of an intensely sweet strawberry there. Okay, a bit of honey coming out of there too. So it is a nice, sweet, warm, again, toasty, roasty type of note. Good, light floral sweetness there. Okay, so we'll pull out a few of these leaves and just kind of look at them, see if they are, well, for example, not all of them are individual leaves. There is here, for example, a good part of a leaf. It hasn't fully unfurled yet, connected via a stem here to, but it's a section of a leaf, and then above that is actually a little bit more stem. Okay, so let me pull out a few more here. Here's a leaf pair. Let's look at these leaves. They are relatively, they're on the smallish side. I have seen oolong leaves larger than this, ragged around the edges. So this one, through either the rolling process or the firing process, charcoal roasting, it can, when that happens, or with any kind of roasting really, if it dries out the leaves, it can cause some of the edges to crumble a little bit. You know, the outer edges exposed on the outside dry out faster than what's on the roll into a tight ball in the middle of that ball. So that can lead to some differences there. These are delicate. There's not a lot of resilience there. These were fairly fragile leaves. They pull apart fairly easily here. I don't see a lot of strong, blotchy, exaggerated oxidation. They're fairly consistent in color across the leaf here, or across these leaves. It's a little bit a tinge darker as it moves outward toward the edge of the leaves. Let me see if I can get, okay, a portion of a leaf. You'll also note that these, although after one steeping, these are unfurling and unfolding. They're mostly thoroughly unfurled, and they're unfolding still quite easily. So this subsequent steepings, there's not going to be a lot more to unfold there as far as the action of the leaf. Now let me go ahead and give this liquor a look and a smell and a taste. This nice light amber color. I mean, it is getting a bit more towards a kind of a brownish orange type color there, or a honey type of color. Still that kind of woody shrub sweetness coming out here. Give it a pour here. Looks bright, clear, nice in the cup. Go ahead and give it a taste now. Some toasty elements still coming out. It still has a bit, you can still taste the heat coming out there in the, or the toasty type elements there. As the tea cools now, this second sip that I got, I swirled it around as the temperature fell down ever so slightly. That's when some of the sweetness builds up more. The texture becomes more apparent also. I have a nice thick coating, especially along the outer sides, the outer edges, top, and say back half of the tongue, the outer sides of my tongue there, have a thick, they feel almost kind of puffy. There's a nice heavy almost coating on there. And it makes you salivate. It builds up this kind of again, toasted, if you could roast honey, if you had honey roasted peanuts minus the peanut there, that's almost what you got here. You could kind of feel the toffee-like aspect there, and the sweetness and the feel. Richness there, still the aftertaste building up there. Off-camera tastings, I noticed that this has a well-extended aftertaste. It lasts for a while. It stays quite strong in that intensity too. Off-camera tastings, 2 to 3 steepings. These aspects were still apparent. Not as many levels of aroma and taste as this tea varies as far as steepings go, as far as is it hot versus cool within one or more steepings. So you have one real kind of aroma profile that stays, and then the other aspects, the texture, the aftertaste, the sweetness there, that's the part that really stands out about this tea. So looking at this tea and the fact of the aftertaste, the flavor aroma profiles, and the textures and everything else, I'm going to have to go with a fairly high score, not too high. I'd like to see a little bit more complexity in that initial aroma and flavor profile as it starts. Of course, it gets there in the back. So I would give this tea an 80. No, I'm going to take that back. I'd give this tea a 90. Okay, so come back to Walker Tea Review to talk about teas from these boutique tea companies, tea retailers that find those special treasures and offer them up to you and me.